Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa TESOL Weekly Discussion, second edition. I'm Flavien Lamation, the Professional Development Coordinator of Africa TESOL. I'll be moderating this webinar. For some times now, schools and universities are closed because of COVID-19. And many institutions have been advised to shift to online learning. And while this will be easy in developed countries, this will be a challenge in less developed ones. And Africa TESOL, in order to reflect more on this, have started organizing some discussion about the issue. And this evening, we're going to explore again English teaching in this period of COVID-19, experiences from Africa. 3 participating affiliates have been invited: Anelta from Angola, Teto from Togo, and Beta from Burkina Faso. And I would like to welcome all of you. Welcome and be my strangers. The first question I'm going to address will be what your associations is doing in this period of COVID-19. Which activities are you conducting? I'm going to give the floor to Angola. You have the floor.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, good. I was just checking if I could, I'm being heard by everybody. Regarding to what we're doing at Nelta actually in Angola. First, this situation is a kind of new one, so it got a surprise to all of us. What we have actually is we have a group on WhatsApp. We share different ideas. Our members, our associates have, and they are running schools, and they, not all of them due to some difficulties, basically mainly internet connection, computers or cell phone which are capable of having a very good internet connection. So this is these are some of the difficulties, but most of us are actually continue teaching. One of the things we're also doing is sharing among us ideas on how to actually create and create a project capacity building in actually profiting this opportunity for future projects. As I start saying in the beginning, this situation it was a surprise to us. It's actually being a learning process to us. And we have now a grasp on what we think it is necessary to do in order to have this COVID-19 period as an opportunity for learning and launching projects for e-learning.
Okay. Mr. Boutry, welcome to board. Mr. Boutry. Hello? Hello? Botri?
Hello.
Yeah, are you getting me?
Yes, I can get you now.
Good. Now, could you introduce your association and tell us the different activities you conducted in this period of pandemic?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. I am from Togo, so our association is TITO, Togolese English Teachers Organization, and it is created in 2009. And as some of the objectives of the association are first to boost the professional development of the members, and then to allow exchanges of experience and teaching materials among throughout the country, and create English clubs in the schools. Right now, the total members around 2,000 around the country, and are really active. What are we doing during this COVID-19 context? As Mr. Chionga said, this a surprise for us, but we are trying our best to run some activities. First, before the crisis, we had WhatsApp groups, national level, on which we were sharing teaching materials and we continue sharing the materials, teaching materials, and experience. And some teachers at the level are organizing some online lessons with some students, and the board from time to time organize some online workshop still on our WhatsApp groups. So this is what we are doing so far during this period.
All right, thank you, Mr. Butri. Now it is the turn of Muhammad. Muhammad, are you around? Hello? Muhammad, are you around? Hello, Muhammad. Is Muhammad around? I'm very sorry. Okay, we continue. Let's continue this debate. I will now invite again Mr. Chionga for my second question. Could you please tell me the responses you as association, I mean teaching association, you bring into this COVID-19 context?
It's important to say that we are a national association. We actually have a lot of affiliates. We also have English clubs in schools. We have associate members who are actually entrepreneurs. They have their own English schools and courses. We have relationship with the schools at the secondary level. We also have relationship with schools or with the institutions at the university level. Me myself, I'm also teaching English actually at the university, teacher training university. And our response during this time, one of the things we're doing is assisting teachers who are willing to work during this COVID-19 period using internet, because as I said in the beginning, being a surprise, some of the teachers are sort of relaxing, waiting for the situation to be normal. And the other ones actually are looking at the circumstances as an opportunity to innovate. So those who are willing to do something, we are assisting them on actually guiding or telling them and sharing experience on what we're doing. For example, I'm using mostly WhatsApp, teaching students. I send audios, I send videos to students, and I questionnaires, and I ask them to read and send audios of their reading, and these audios is shared by all the students in the WhatsApp class. So our response is actually this time we have two different responses. One of them is assisting those who are willing to work, in which which internet platforms are better to work in our circumstances and conditions. As I said in the beginning, I mean, getting access to internet is difficult. It's also very expensive. But on the other hand, we are also mobilizing our affiliates to say, hey guys, this situation may take a long time, and the life going back to normal might not be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. It may take long. So we need to innovate. We instead of relaxing and waiting for the normal situation to come, we need to take this opportunity and take life to continue. So as I said in the beginning, we are responding in actually two different directions. One, assisting, and the other one is mobilizing those teachers to profit the situation and use the opportunity as an entrepreneur opportunity.
Great. Now is Mamadou Bilem back? Bilem? Hello, Bilem. Bilem? All right. Okay, Mr. Boutry, you have the floor now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay. You can hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
All right. So I am Mamadou Belem, the Secretary General of Burkina English Teachers Association, and representing the same association. And so I would like to thank you for putting us together this networking among ELT associations. So Beta was created in 2009, and its main focused activities are bi-monthly and sometimes monthly training sessions. It's mainly experience sharing from colleagues in the association. So we have a WhatsApp group where we interact a lot. We have also a Facebook group. So as most of the teachers, particularly English teachers in Africa, so we are not prepared enough to cope with the sudden change in our educational scheme due to COVID. So here at Beta, we have two main projects to keep on serving our community, namely teachers and students. So concerning teachers, what we're doing to build up teachers' skills to meet the learners the needs of learners in this context is webinars. So we are trying to mobilize Burkina teaching abroad, mainly in the US and Europe, to train us on how to use online tools to plan lessons and to deliver content and assessment to students. So we have had so far 2 webinars. The first one was on on software for creating assessment, online assessment for students. And the second webinar was the use of WordPress, like building websites for online teaching. So we had that webinar last Sunday. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So the first part is webinars on how to create online content for students. And the second main project consists in creating video lesson. So some people will say, well, there are so many videos online, but on YouTube, for example, but these are not very contextual. They're not appropriate for the African context, and sometimes they're meant for native speakers or for other countries. So we have decided to create our own videos that reflect the Burkinabe context. So we have the chance to have a movie director who is also an ELT teacher. So he will be recording the video for us. And one thing we'll do with the videos is to make them very light so that students can download them. So we'll post them on our Facebook pages or in our WhatsApp groups, and we'll share it with parents and with students who can use WhatsApp and social networks, and so that they can follow by themselves. So with this video, they have some control over the content. So far, that's what I can say. So.
All right, Mr. Boutry, what are your responses to this contest?
Okay, so as I said it before, we were unprepared. We are not prepared for such a situation. So what we are doing now is first to guide the members towards some online lessons concerning online teaching. And in addition to this, some of the members who are experienced, they are having online classes with some students. And we are encouraging our members to do the same. So for the moment, there is no very great activities. It is now that we are planning activities for the, so now we are at the level of the training and guiding. That is what I can say. But individually, people are coaching classes, and some who are in international schools, they are having online classes with their students. For example, I myself, I am in an international school there. We continue teaching students via a Zoom cloud. So this it is an experience we are sharing with others and encouraging them to follow the way. And we can say that this crisis is an opportunity for us to think about how to integrate technology in our teaching, and I hope we will talk about it later during the debate. Thank you.
All right, we are back to Mr. Chionga. Hope you are around. Hello, Mr. Chionga, are you there? Hello? Okay, Mamadou, now tell me, do you think,
I am around.
I mean, shifting to online learning
Yes.
today is a missed opportunity for language teaching and learning?
Well, I would say it's an opportunity, I would say, because right now we don't really have the choice, and we have to do with it. We in Burkina Faso would have started earlier because schools were closed even before COVID-19, and we should have started before, but COVID has now confirmed that we need online teaching, and the government is doing their best to build online platforms and to digitalize the curricula. I would say to some extent we missed it because we haven't started earlier. We should have started earlier so that we are fully ready to deliver the content online. But I would say um, it is the future of language teaching because I mean uh, some subjects are really hard to teach online, but contrary to English, so there are pretty good ways and tools that allow us to teach all the four skills of English, which is not the case with other languages. So I think COVID, one of the advantages of COVID is if confirming that we do need online teaching, and the government is doing their best to digitalize the content. And I think we teachers, we need that. We really need to build up our skills on how to build online material, to use the online platform. So there are so many platforms. So I'm using a Moodle, which is a learning management platform, LMS. And I think we'll need much more training on how to digitalize our own content because they are there forever. We have access to them forever, and students can have access to it anywhere and anytime. Although I need to mention that it would increase inequalities in education. Why? Just because access to internet, even though in urban areas, the internet is accessible, but it's in terms of cost, it's not always guaranteed to teachers to have access to internet. Sometimes it's too costly, and sometimes it's really poor in urban areas. So what about those in the rural areas? So sometimes they don't even have access to electricity, let alone access to internet. So the prerequisite to online teaching is making sure that there is electricity everywhere in the country, and making sure that all the rural areas have access to good quality internet. For that, we'll need some kind of partnership with telecommunication companies, internet providers, to make sure that we can have access to those contents. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. Now, turning to Chionga. Chionga is back. Chionga, are you getting me now? Hello, Mr. Chong. Hello. Okay, Mr. Botri, you have the floor. Do you think this, shifting to online teaching is a missed opportunity for English language teaching and learning? Mr. Botri.
Yes, if we consider the present situation, we can say that it is a missed opportunity. Okay. Because many English teachers, many language teachers now, they are at home in our country. they don't know what to do. Some even don't know how to use a computer, even don't know how to use mobile phone. They don't have electricity. So if we consider that it is a missed opportunity, because online teaching has this advantage that it can help us get in contact with native speakers, even among us colleagues. We can share online lessons and so on and so forth. But if we think about the future, we would rather say that it is a great opportunity for us, because it is not only language teaching which is in problem now. It is the whole educational system in Africa which has the problem. So I hope authorities will now know the importance of first introducing technology in our schools. Because now, what do we use technology for? We use it to communicate, to entertain ourselves. But go at school, nothing is done to introduce the use of technology gadgets in our classrooms, which can help us to boost our teaching learning process. So I will sum up by saying that if you consider the present time, it is a missed opportunity. But talking about the future, it is an opportunity for us to think about how to reorganize our teaching system. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Butri. For the participant, I would just like to inform you that in some minutes, you can have the possibility of asking questions. Thank you. Now, Mr. Yes, Chionga, like he is no more online. Hello, are you there? Good. Now we continue with the debate. Now we shift to the next question. And this question will be about the affordability of online learning. And I will just ask Mamadou to tell me if he thinks that the shifting to online learning is affordable for both teachers and learners. Mamadou, you have the floor. Mamadou?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mamadou.
Okay, so I would say in West Africa, I mean, I'm speaking for the Burkina Faso context, I would say no, because I mean, first of all, it can be a teacher-led initiative. Teachers alone can't start like teaching online. And at school level, I don't think our schools are really equipped for teaching online. A teacher cannot afford it, and sometimes schools cannot afford it given their budget, and given also parents income for the time being. So it's not affordable for teachers, and it's not affordable for students. We really need structured initiative from the government so that school can receive necessary funding and necessary equipment to start teaching online. One of my colleagues just mentioned that some teachers, the old generation, I would say my my parent and my grandparent. I'm a young teacher, so the teacher who have more than 25, 20 years experience. So they don't know how to, to use a computer. So there is capacity building. We'll need to build the capacities on how to use computer, to use these online tools. And even the teacher is willing, he will need some support from the government to implement it. So the burden is too heavy to be carried by only teachers. So I would say the burden is too heavy for teachers to carry it.
Okay, Mr. Botri, the ball is at your court now.
Okay, thank you. I will just follow my colleague. First of all, I can say that it is not affordable for whether for teachers or for the students, because just consider that not all the students have electricity. In some areas, there's no electricity, so they don't have the opportunity to connect themselves. And teachers are not trained as far as the use of computer is concerned. So some don't know how to use a computer. Those who know it, connection, and those who have it, is the connection good enough to help them to do the job very well? We can just take this. You can see the problem we are having with the connection. These are the realities. So it is not easy for us right now to undertake this
Hello, Botri.
Hello, yes.
Okay. So you think it is not a piece of cake?
No.
So now,
we have
as
a long way to go.
I always ask that question as a teacher of English. Let's forget the government. What could we do?
As a teacher of English, I can say that many are doing their best. But the problem is that you cannot do it right in your corner. I can say that, or I can give the testimony that many teachers are doing their best to handle these online lessons. My case, we are doing, even right now, we are committing ourselves with an NGO who is planning an online lesson for the government schools. So we registered and we will start the lesson on the 1st of May for those who are at home. I have many of my colleagues around. I can see Mr. Katawa online. So he's in his corner there, he's doing a lot. But what we are saying here is general policy. Can you imagine that right now some inspectors, when they come to visit you in your class, and then you put your computer on the table and you are delivering, they ask you to bring the papers. So why they will ask you why you using papers and lessons and in your computer? Last time one of my colleagues had this problem. An inspector visited him for his inspection for graduation. He was obliged to bring back the paper version of the this. That is the reason why we are saying that as teachers can try to do our best in our corner. But if authorities in an era in which we cannot leave technology aside as far as education is concerned. Whatever we will do, reach the goal. Thank you.
All right. Now I can see our colleague from Angola back. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can, but I think my sound. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes,
can hear
yes.
you very well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but I mean, as I said, I mean, we have problems, internet connection problems, and probably it's what I faced. I hope I have fixed it, and I'm back.
I'm very sorry. Now, we are already on the fourth question, which is
Yeah, I see.
about the
Yeah.
affordability of online learning for both teachers and learners. So do you think that this is affordable? I mean, online learning is affordable for teachers and for learners too?
Yeah, if you allow me, let me just take opportunity to get question number 3, because I think there is a very important aspect to be mentioned, and this aspect has to do with to which extent actually our efforts and our willing as association can go to make this internet e-learning as an opportunity for all of us. And I think it was perfectly mentioned by one of our colleagues. I think it was Botri, who said that I mean, the associations are not, it cannot be an issue just carried by the association. So I think what we need to do as associations, we need to position ourselves as partnerships, because as partners, because we need to involve policymakers and decision makers also, to make this an opportunity for everybody. Because I mean, getting access to electricity is also difficult for some of our people, mainly in rural areas. So I think one of the things we need to do is to set up different advocacy efforts to approach policymakers, to approach decision makers, to understand that this with e-learning is actually an opportunity to all of us. Of course, it's now expensive access to the internet, but if you do some kind of cost-benefit comparison, we will see that e-learning is actually will be much more cheaper than traditional teaching. You put in infrastructure costs, you put in transport costs, you put in books, you put in, I mean, it's a lot of materials you put in with the traditional teaching. So there has to be a kind of cost-benefit comparison for the policy makers to understand that e-learning is actually cheaper and sometimes much more effective than traditional teaching. So if you introduce now the fourth question, then I will take that.
Yeah, you can go with the fourth question. We are already on the fourth question.
And the fourth question is
about the affordability of online learning for teachers and and the learners.
Yeah, I have actually started talking about that. The thing is, and what the way we look at it, of course, the answer now is is not affordable, because according to the resource available by teachers and students, the answer is not affordable. But I think the question is if it will be affordable, and if it will be, looking at the cost-benefit relation, it's best to invest on e-learning, or it's best to continue on traditional teaching. And there lies my question, because if we look at the traditional teaching, I mean, it's a very heavy machine to run. It's a very heavy machine to run, with a lot of bureaucracy, with different process, and some of them actually we can say that are unnecessary. What we need to do actually as association is actually to demonstrate to people, even to our students, that investing in e-learning is much more cheaper than investing in traditional learning, and it's actually much more flexible. Just remember, if you have a 24-year student who's doing business, and his business is actually providing services in different places, it's actually much more difficult and expensive to ask him to stay and remain and come every day into a class than just to have his computer and his mobile moving everywhere when he's going to do his business and continue studying. And actually, life after COVID-19 will not be the same. So we need to adapt. And the thing is, we need to do some kind of need and cost analysis to decide whether we want to invest in e-learning or we want to continue with the traditional learning. So I think we as associations, we need to conduct studies. We need to do a kind of economical study to demonstrate people that investing in e-learning is better than investing in traditional.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mr. Chionga. Yes. Now let's look into the future. In 5 years' time, 10 years' time, what do you think online learning will be like? Mr. Chionga, you have a floor.
Thank you. I think it's always difficult to look at the future, because I mean, it's always difficult to look at the future, because I mean, nobody thought that we're going to have this COVID-19. I mean, it's a surprise to everybody. I mean, nobody thought. I mean, we have made our plans to this 2020 year, and most of us actually upset with what is happening. Look at how the signs are telling us is that even much more.
I'm very sorry for Chionga.
So people to happen.
Okay, we are having some connection
Problem again.
Here again. Chionga, Mr. Chionga. Okay, we are going back to Mamadou. Mamadou, you have the floor. Tell me, so, how do you see the future concerning online learning?
I mean, I would say the future is bright for online learning. But I would like to come back to something you mentioned, really important. You said that
problems again. Yeah,
we shouldn't rely on
Mamadou, you have the
the
floor.
government.
Mamadou,
Okay.
you have the floor.
So you previously mentioned that we shouldn't rely on the government as far as our educational project is concerned. So we can start, do something little, and go for the government. But we should do something. So I'm saying that because that's what I did to some extent. I started, when I returned from the US. When I returned from the US, I decided to launch an online teaching project. So I had to go to private institutions to get funding. I had to apply for funding from private institutions in order to fund my online project. So, but now it's ready, and I have launched my first product. And now the future is to generalize. To extend it to K-12 schools, because my case is professionals who need English. So he just mentioned that some business persons are traveling a lot. They don't have time to sit down for maybe 3 months or 1 month just to learn English while the business is booming, is going on. They can't do that. They don't have just such time. So online teaching is the best option for them. So we can start, do something, and now go get the support of the government. So coming back to the question, I would say online teaching has a very bright future because we have all the ingredients to move online. Even though we are not going to go fully online, there's what we call blended learning. So that means you supplement your in-person physical teaching with some online components. Maybe you can have some online assessment, although you're teaching in the classroom. So you save time when you give some assessment online instead of coming all the time in the classroom, explaining right on the board. It's really time effective. It's really time effective. And now that government do not have the choice, we in Burkina Faso, we have two main arguments. Insecurity and COVID. We don't really have the choice. And I think many African countries now do not have the choice but to move to online learning. And I think what we are doing at Beta is mobilizing African Burkinabe scholars from abroad. They're abroad. There are so many bright Africans abroad in Europe, in America, even in Africa. So let's try to mobilize them and build our skills. So if you don't have the resources on the continent, I'm sure we have, but we can also get help from the diaspora, even from our TESOL network, TESOL International, TESOL IFL from other countries, to build up our own skills, and teachers also from the old generation that I call my grandparent teachers. So they're sometimes reluctant to the use of even basic ICT. So it's not that difficult, and it's a lot of fun. So just a little interest, and you learn how to use it. So teachers should be open to learning how to use these tools. It's not difficult, and it makes your teaching very effective and very easy. So online teaching has a bright future.
Okay, Mr. Mamadou, thank you. I'm going now to give the floor to Botri. Botri, you have 1 minute to tell us about the future.
Okay, I'll be very, very, very short.
Yeah, thank
that
you.
Is to say, the future of online teaching will depend on the decisions we will make today and the actions we will take. If right after this COVID-19 crisis, we go back to our classes and we forget about all those things which happen, I bet in 5 years, things will remain the same. But if we take action and we talk about online teaching, it is not just like the conference we are doing now. There are other materials. The way you teach in your physical classroom, it is not the way you teach online. The preparation of the materials, you have to do it before you can make the lesson attractive. So if we plan ourselves individually, we are motivated, and then the educational system, I will come back to it, because when we talk about online teaching, it is not for individual, because this is very, very easy. I can have my online teaching program, but this will not impact a great number of students. What we want now, we will not keep it for a class of citizens. If not, we will create a second-class citizens in a of online teaching. So before, this online teaching has a bright future, like my colleague said. We have, but the government has also to do his part before we succeed in it. Thank you.
Okay, now we are open to questions. You participant, you have now the opportunity to ask some questions of your choice. Yes, we're waiting for you. Any question?
There was a question from Harry earlier. He asked a question about pedagogy as opposed to the platform. And the question is about, will online teaching make teaching less teacher-centered?
Mr. Tiongo, could you answer that question?
Can you hear me? I think that can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I said it is a very interesting question, and I think this question, if we have opportunity to have more online meetings and debates, this is a question to discuss. I think being centered or teacher-centered or student-centered teaching is not a problem of the platform itself. It's a matter of attitude, and it's also a matter of what teachers believe when they are teaching. Remember, believing is something which influences a lot our attitude. Sometimes we forget it, but to lose control of something, it's very difficult for us. To free students and get the challenge that they will come to us with questions and they will challenge us, it's a problem. So there lies, in my opinion, and to what I've been reading and what I know, is that teachers normally have fear of losing control of their students, and they make the teaching teacher-centered than student-centered. So in my opinion, it's not a matter of platform. You can have a student-centered teaching using internet. You can have a teacher-centered teaching using the traditional setting. The problem is your attitude and your beliefs as a professional.
Right. Next question. Yes. Any other question? Yeah.
So can I add something?
Yeah. What is your question?
No, Mamadou, can I contribute to the question?
Why not?
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, I think it's going to be, with online teaching, it's going to be more student-centered, because students have control over the online materials. So students sometimes they have a lot of resources to explore. The internet is a whole world for them to explore. So with an online platform like Moodle, you give them links to research, links to examples of materials, links to videos, links to readings. I mean, you give them access to so many resources to the point that students do not need to come back to you for all their questions. So you don't have much control over them, as my colleague mentioned. So it makes it less teacher-centered. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes it's, I will say in bracket, it's a danger for a teacher who does not update him or herself, because students will discover new things that you're not even aware of. So I would say it's going to be much more student-centered.
Okay, Alexander Timothy, you have the floor.
All right. What I want to say, I just want to make a contribution, not a question, reacting to the last but one speaker.
Okay.
He made a statement about teacher attitude, and it is very important because I teach in an environment where e-learning is looked on with suspicion, with trepidation, and with fear. It still boils down to the issue of a teacher afraid to lose control. And even those who venture to do the e-learning, they still want to control. What they do is to simply give students materials to study, give them assessment, to do it. It's just like moving traditional classroom into an e-platform. It doesn't give students, and it's not deliberate. It's because one, they don't have the technical know-how. They don't have the skill required. So it is important for teachers to acquire basic minimum skills in e-learning. It's not just to move from one transfer from one platform to the other. So that's what I want to say.
Okay. Amidou Traore.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm Amidou Traore from Burkina Faso. I would like to intervene on the last question. The fifth question. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Amidou Traore from Burkina Faso. I would like to intervene on the fifth question.
Okay.
Yes? Do you hear me?
Just go ahead.
Okay, so I would like to intervene on the fifth question, the future of online training. I think that the future of online training is very important to be discussed here. The initiative we are doing now should be continued. You see that thanks to COVID-19, we are able to meet here all of the Africa TESOL teachers to discuss the learning process. So this is very important. So we have to continue like this. There are some challenges our countries are facing. If I take the case of Burkina Faso, there is terrorism. There are thousands of schools which are closed in the northern parts of the country. So the students of these schools do not have access to education. So online training can be an alternative for these students. We can gather them somewhere and have the teachers train them before without going there. So I think it is important to think about how to continue training our students through online training. So this is a little contribution I have for the platform.
All right, thank you. We are now running out of time. I'll be giving the floor to my my debaters, and they'll tell us the last word. Chiongo, what is your last word? You have 10 seconds. Hello? Okay. I would like to thank everybody for participating in this debate. Thank you for your rapt attention, and let's meet on next week for another debate, and see you and have a good night. Bye-bye.